Well, it's an interesting week, to say the least.
Same
There you
for me.
go.
Same for me.
What's your little board say this time? Where's my money, man?
Where's my money, man? Big topic that you guys are going to encounter now that this goddamn recession's here. Dude, you got so TikTok, okay? I know there's a whole thing with getting it banned and whatnot, but did you know that? Okay, so I don't know if this is true. We have to vet this information, but that the Saudi Arabia is moving away from the dollar.
I
Yeah.
saw that today too. A bunch of
Cool.
places.
Right,
They
so
are
they're
gonna
not,
start
and you know
using
what?
the
I saw that
Chinese
at
money.
first, and then it was like independent news, I guess. But then you see it on Fox, and I saw it on CNN. I was like, okay, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's gonna happen to our country
Mm.
now that the dollar has no backing whatsoever?
That's a good
Mm.
question, bro. That's a good question.
You guys buy silver? Yeah, I better be buying
No.
silver.
No.
Nope.
I have a little bit. It's mainly
Really?
constitutional silver,
Do
but
we have to have a whole podcast on why you should be buying silver?
Put us on.
Yeah. He said,
Well,
"Where's the
it's
link?"
inflation proof or it's inflation resistant. It's
actually,
not
hold on.
inflation proof.
There was a good movie about this. Damn, I just watched it. Yeah, basically the moon was gonna collide with the Earth and everything was gonna die. One guy comes out of the store with like a handful of money. He's like, "Yo, I got all that good money." He's like, "Good, now you can wipe your ass with it because that's
Mm.
what it's worth in a time of problems."
Mhm.
Literally, what's that the paper gonna do? Nothing. You go to a store, banks are shut down. You think handing him $100 is gonna matter?
Mm.
But if you hand him a bar of silver, hey, you got something. Because silver can be bullets, silver can be cheap shillings, silver shiny. You can make a fork out of it. You can eat with it. I mean, there's so many other things you can do versus the dollar. It has no currency whatsoever, and also used, I'm pretty sure, for computer components.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm.
It's mainly gold though that's in computer components
Yeah, but
because it's more
these other,
conductive.
but it's not. See, it's not that hard to get into it. Like I was watching a
I'm
video about
doing a
you could do it the
podcast.
dirty money way. You know, the dirty silver is cheaper. It's just dirty silver. It's still silver, but it's just dirty. Or clean cut, bullion that you can get from AMPX, I believe is the website, or
Mm-hmm.
JD Bullion, whatever.
Or
So I buy
commodities.
10. I buy 10 bricks at a time, which comes out to roughly $315. That's
That's
10,
ounce,
1 ounce.
troy ounce.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So 10. I used to buy the 10-ounce bars, but then I'm like, if you gotta split it up, you got 10-ounce bars. You really can't trade the 10-ounce bar. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Versus having 10 single ounce bars that you could trade. Like, oh, listen, I need some food. Here's a bar of silver.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it has value, holds value. So for
And you're
you
talking
guys,
exclusively 999 silver, or
yeah, 999
okay.
silver, basically the purest form. And it also the funny thing that we're saying on that video, when the value of money goes up, the value of silver and gold go up. You know what I mean? If the Fed
Mm-hmm.
start pumping money again, silver and gold are going to go through the roof because that's where everybody goes to save their money. This boy's about to catch an airplane.
He definitely is. He thinks he's being
But
funny.
see, but the funny thing is like, well, obviously Jeremiah knows about this stuff, but like I do it because also in the future, that's also money for your kids.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't think about it, it's like a safe way of saving money so that it's always going to
It's
be
something you
there.
can always pass down too.
Exactly. You know what I mean? In the event of a problem, you can always even pawn that stuff to get some money if you have to. You know what I mean? So every once in a while, you got a little extra cash on the side. $300. I mean, if you think about it, the amount of money you probably spend in coffee every day is going to add to that. So just throw
And
it into
depending
a
on the
couple bars.
and depending on the price, and Harry and Donnie, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there are, I believe, three different forms of like value. There's the market value, which is, I guess, what it's going for, and then there's spot. And spot is the actual true value of silver. But if you purchase from a supplier, they're going to charge you a premium. So if you
Right.
hold on it long enough and the value of silver's gone up enough, you can sell it for spot. Someone will grab it instantly, and you still made a profit in theory. But there's not so much profit with silver and gold as much. It's more to secure your money against inflation. If you're gonna hold it for like a long run, and shit hits the fan, then yeah, it can potentially be a source an investment. But it's not a it's not an investment unless you're buying in like very serious quantities.
Where do you guys keep your
Right.
silver?
What's up?
I probably shouldn't be doing this on the podcast, but right there.
I said, where do you
Well,
guys keep it?
obviously,
Oh,
you want
shit.
to put it you want to put it somewhere
That was
where it's
coming off.
secure, where it's your valuables, But
I'm gonna put that soundbite in, Harry.
wait, hold up.
Let's put a little censor thing.
Wait, you don't have a soundbite for that?
Oh, I do. Oh, I do. Trust me.
Let's
That's gonna be
fire
a
it
clip.
up.
Hey, Donnie.
What up?
You bleeding?
Yeah.
Is he bleeding?
He bleeding.
No, he's
Remember,
not
sack of
bleeding.
oranges doesn't leave marks. The fact that I learned that on Family Guy, it's pretty sad.
Family Guy and South Park. Those are all the life lessons I need. That explains a lot of
Like a
things.
bitch, but she ain't
No,
gonna
Omar,
leave
I
marks.
asked where do you keep your silver, but Jeremiah pointed at his safe. Where do you keep yours?
Same thing.
Thanks.
I have a safe too where I keep pretty much everything. And
So where do you
have
buy it?
to,
Where you can't just walk into
Well,
a bank and say, "Let me get 10 bars of silver"? Can you?
no. Right. For instance, right now I'm doing it right now. And what the hell is this?
I've always ordered from JM Bullion, or I'd go to a pawn shop.
I always
Yeah, I'm
put
looking
it
at their
on,
site right now. That's why I'm kind of just
AMPX. Pull up the
Oh,
site.
Ampex. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ampex.
MPEX. That's where I'm buying it right now. So that's pretty much where I keep buying steadily.
just silver. That's all you buy.
Yeah, because gold is like $1,900 for 1 ounce of gold.
Mm.
So for gold, you gotta drop at least 10 G's to make it worth it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Damn.
So if you had an additional 10 G's, let's say that you want to put on the side, because think about if you actually go there, and it's almost like stocks. If you look at the chart, go back 5, 10 years, look how much gold has gone up since then. Had you put like 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000, it probably tripled by now,
Mm.
which is
Well, that's
crazy
also-
if you think about it.
That's also because it's a very limited resource and it's used so much in electronics. Like any electronic
Oh.
device that you have, it's gold plated. It has this gold plating on it to the
Right.
point where people will actually scrap components and they like circuit boards and motherboards from computers and they let it sit in acid and they refine it. And I mean, you don't get much out of it, but there's definitely a market for it.
Well, that goes with palladium and all the other ones that come out of catalytic converters.
Hmm.
They're needed for that. They sell it for the weight because it's used for all of that. But like I said, you can start off small. I even did coins because coins sometimes could be a collector's item. Let's say, for instance, this Republic fails, and we no longer use the American Eagle or anything like that. You have American Eagle coins. They're probably going to be worth a lot of money.
And you're talking about actual like cast
You heard
silver,
that?
not constitutional silver.
Right.
Because I've got a bunch of that too. But that's
Yeah,
mainly
me
just
too.
a personal collection thing. But silver's still silver.
Yeah,
It's
silver's
not
still
fine
silver.
silver.
Which is funny too, like there was a hustle that somebody put online, which is true. It takes work, but you can go to the bank and request silver dollars.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Or I think, yeah, silver dollars. You can go in there with $500, give me 500 silver dollars. You go through the coins and boom, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them are actual silver. Take them
Oh
out
yeah.
and put it back in. That one coin is worth $50, $60 versus the $1 that it represents.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeremiah.
What's up?
Sorry, you done? Did I just cut you off, bro?
No, good. What's up?
All right. So you said the spot price is. So okay, currently right now, APMX it is $24.13, but
A spot?
0.79, but 79 cents USD. What? Break that down for me. What do these numbers mean?
Let me go pull that up. Silver.
Pull it up on the screen here too.
Oh, so that 77
how-
cents you see, that's how much it's gone up in a 1 week period. That 3.3% you're looking at, it's gone up 3.3%, which equates to that 77-cent difference.
Oh, but currently it's selling at $24.13 for an ounce.
Should be by, I believe so. Oh, let me. Let me go see.
Yeah.
Yeah, an ounce. That again, that's the spot price. That's the value of silver. That's not the market and sale price that they're gonna charge you for it.
Right. So it's like the spot value could be 25, but like by the time you're done using PayPal, it'd be like 32.
Yeah. Well, also too, the distributor will also. I mean, they've got to make a profit on this too, so they mark it up a certain percentage. So
Right. I mean, needless to say, it's another way of you to assure yourself to have some money. It's like again, let's say we put $10,000 in cash in your safe for a rainy day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, like right now, the BRIC nations are moving away from the dollar. You know, if you know what the BRIC nations are, then Brazil,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
they move away from the dollar. Now you got $10 million of paper, $10,000 of paper in your safe that were worth absolutely nothing.
Bro, in the last 2 or 3
Right.
days, about 3 or 4 of those countries have announced that they're partnering with China to move away from the dollar.
Yeah, that's
Well,
all
right.
associated with the same thing he's talking about.
Right. And then the funny thing is that China and Russia also have developed their own financial cryptocurrency they're going to run in their system. So they're trying
Yeah,
to
it's
be
all
ahead
going to
of the
be a
curve.
digital thing.
Right. So if you go to other
We don't want
countries,
that though.
Oh,
you
it's
don't have a
coming.
choice. No,
It's
it's coming
coming.
already. Look up
No, I'm saying
national
we
parks.
don't want that though.
Oh, it's coming regardless of whether we want it or not. Like the US is already adopting that. If you go to national parks, they do not take cash. You need to come with a card. And
mhm.
if you know what a card is, it's digital currency. It's
Yeah.
I
just
mean,
that it's so
crypto's great. Crypto's great, but I just don't. I don't think we're going to be lucky enough for it to stay as independent as it was intended to be. So
no.
No, all of our
No,
crypto's gone centralized, and that defeats
it's
the
already
purpose of it.
centralized. It's already centralized. The government, and that's also the reason why they don't allow it at the moment, is because more than likely they're probably pushing it so that until they can get their own foot in the door with it.
Hmm.
You know, Bitcoin came out of nowhere. They couldn't regulate it. They couldn't hold that whale, the movement.
Hmm.
And then once they could, you notice the price dropped drastically because the whales were probably the major holders who noticed that and they said, I'm out.
Yeah. And the US for the longest wouldn't recognize it as a currency. It would not notice it as a currency until people started making money. Once they were able to tax
Yeah.
it, then all of a
Oh,
sudden it was currency.
well,
So,
that's like,
because Coinbase
yeah.
used to not tax you at all. You didn't have to report on Coinbase. For the longest, when I was mining crypto, when I was trading crypto, I would just go through Coinbase and it'd drop in my account, right? And now they issue, I think, a 1099. They issue you tax documents. So you now have to
Mhm.
report on your on your taxes. It's just like buying stock.
Which,
So, question before we get too far off that silver talk, is there a way I can like cut the middleman out and just go buy my silver like in chunks
pawn
or
shop,
like in bars or whatever?
Pawn shops a little bit less, or if you can find somebody that you can trust locally, or if you're able to test silver. But you got to be really careful because people are really good at faking silver. They'll put like a metal that's similar in weight in the core, and then they'll case it in silver. So you can scratch and silver test it, but it's not silver in the center.
Silver, yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people will drill through all of it. And if it's real, they pay what the original weight was, but that's one way to do it.
Actually, I you know what? That's funny. I just remembered. I actually know a guy out here who he's a contractor, but he's also like heavy into like trying to become an artist, a rapper.
Mhm.
But he knows of a place in Georgia, in Atlanta, I believe, where he's actually gone and like paid for like I can't remember how many grams of silver he had a chain made out of, but he was explaining to me the way like diamonds and like getting your jewelry made and like all that bust down means and like bro, he's got all this shit down to a science, and like he's really smart about spending his money. The majority of his chain, I guess, like the big chain that he had the majority made in silver, but then he had the locks made in gold with a shit ton of diamonds in them. He was like, because diamonds, I can't ever get the money back for the diamonds, and the gold is not, is more expensive than what I want if I want it for the look that I'm trying to go for. So I'll spend my money on nothing but silver, get a nice fat chain, and then just top it off with a little bit of gold and diamonds on the back. So I'm still my shit still bust down, but it's not. At least I can get the money back out of the silver. This is a conversation I had with this dude like 13 months ago. I can't. That's crazy that we're talking about that now.
But that's a prime example, though. But like, yeah, I mean, you could go that avenue if you want, but also, it's like, so that would be a perfect comparison to like the contractor. Like, you can go with a guy that's probably cheaper, but doesn't give you the securities. You know what I mean? Buying from these websites, yeah, you're paying a little bit of a higher, but you're getting legitimacy. So when you go to resell that silver, they see the logo AMPX, JD Bullion. They see that, they're like, okay, this is legit. This guy's not jipping me or trying to scam me. You know what I mean? So you
It's
get that
legit.
security.
Yeah.
So you could go to these places and may get burned. So
Yeah, and that being said, if you're gonna sell silver, it looks better if you have like a pant bar, like a properly pressed bar, versus if you just had cast silver, which is still silver, but people just pour it into a cast and it's just rough brick. It's not shiny either. The only markings that are on it's just 999.
Yeah.
Now another
I'm pretty sure
crazy.
jewelers they gotta have access to all that. Like, no.
Oh yeah.
Yes, but it looks better on you if you have like a stamp that says Ampex, Credit Suisse, JM Bullion, all these big
I see what you're saying. Well, what do you
distributors.
think? Okay, so what? I mean,
Instead of just a traditional bar.
I don't.
Right.
I don't know if any of you guys would know what the process would be then in that case. But what if, like, in his situation, he got a 5,000 gram chain of silver. He wants to melt that down and get the money back for it. And what is it's going to get melted down by the jeweler, and they're going to send that out to like one of those companies you're talking about?
Yeah, they'll melt it down and they'll test it, and then they can sell it as a reputable distributor.
Oh,
right.
okay.
So distributors are going to take silver in any kind of form. Obviously, you're going to get the price depending on how they get it. If they have to put in the work of melting it and testing it and casting it, they're going to give you a lesser value for it versus you bringing a casted silver.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like you bringing to the bank a bag full of gold dust versus a gold bar.
Right.
You know what I mean? They still have to melt that stuff, put it together, stamp it, approve it, register it, the whole work. Because it's not just that. Like when you order the silver from them, they give you a registration card that tells you which lot, which day it was created, where it was printed. It's all traceable. And I save all that stuff too for legitimacy purposes. But so that's the thing with that. And another crazy idea, and this is from a contractor in New York City. He's one of my friends. He lives in PA. So in New York City, you cannot use PVC. It has to be cast iron for the drains, and it has to be brass or copper for your water lines. You can't use PEX at all. Nothing can be plastic.
Wow.
Because the high rises create so much pressure from the water towers. Imagine all that water sitting 115 stories above, coming down to the first floor. Can you imagine the pressure on that thing?
Yeah.
He's like, PEX will blow right off instantly. So what he does is he takes all the scrap copper back to PA, right? And then when he goes back there, he melts it down, like Jeremiah was saying, and he makes brick stamps of copper. Because it's another thing you can buy. You can buy bricks of copper.
You got to push them in there.
And
copper.
So he does the bricks of all the recycled copper. He cleans it up. Obviously, still considered dirty copper because it's not 100% pure. But he takes those bricks and he meets up with other people on chats and say, okay, I'll give you 5 bricks of copper for that 1 brick of silver. And he trades.
Yeah.
So that's another way he does it. He trades his copper for silver. Oh boy.
And I'm not sure I'm pretty sure you guys have noticed, but like if you go to buy wiring like Romex now, it's about more than twice as much than what it was a year ago. And like the electrician that I use, 2 of the electricians that I know, some of the few electricians that clean up after themselves because they take their wire with them. He's like, I got a trash can at home. He's like, he has a machine that strips all the sheathing off, and he takes a bare wire and throws it in a compactor. It's like this little hand compactor that he has, and he's like, and I just sell it as scrap. That's beer money. And you have to actually report that on your taxes now. Like it's become that value that they tax you on it. You got to report it.
Damn.
So that's another option that I don't know if you guys have the space or the time. I've been actually, I used to give my brother the copper. He was like, when I renovated my house, he got $600 of copper out of his house in scrap. Okay, he didn't even like process it. So one of my boys is like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Yo, get a 50-gallon drum and just keep throwing it in there. And then when you have downtime, he's like, go get a torch, get a cast iron, a heavy duty cast iron pot, melt that shit, put it in bricks, stamp it with your logo if you want, and then you can sell this stuff to people, or you can stack it, or you can trade it for other things. Because, like you
Yeah.
said, some people may need that gold for electronic. I mean, that copper for electronics. They want to make their own wirings. They might need boards because it still uses copper. So they will trade with you. So that's another way. And like we had this crazy guy at my my job, and he has like chests buried in his backyard full of gold and silver and shit. Like he's nutty, dude.
Yeah.
He's well off. Like that
Doomsday
man
prepper,
did.
old guy.
Dude, he had uh I believe he had 20 years of service by the time I jumped on him. That's how long he's been there. By the time he actually left, it was 50. 50 years of service. So he was a little cuckoo. And he didn't leave because in his mind, it's like, oh, the government's going to collapse and I need a paycheck. He's like, dude, the government collapsed. You ain't got no paycheck. But he
Yeah,
would, he
those are
would
the
go
people that
home.
get old and they're gonna forget where they buried their shit in their
Dude,
backyard,
and
and then it's gonna be
he
worthless.
told me, he's like, I go to Home Depot, I buy the 10-foot sticks of copper, and I just keep them in my shed. He's like, I'll stack them in the roof of my shed. He's like, "'Cause those are worth money.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, those are worth money because at the end of the day, you're going to need copper for pipes, even if it's for water, for anything else. So he's like, yeah, I got a stack of copper in there.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah,
sense. You're
my
talking about
buddy
those
that's an
grounding rods?
electrician.
The grounding rods, he would get
Yeah.
regular copper, like L copper. But obviously, the water copper that we use is not pure copper. The
Mhm.
only, see, that's a funny part in production. Pure copper is only safe for electricity because you need it for so it's more conducting.
Mhm.
But dirty copper, which is recycled copper, you're going to find it on your water lines and also your drain lines because they're still selling drain lines made out of copper. So
I didn't
that's
know
where the
that.
Yeah.
recycled copper goes, which is
So
called
grounding rods would be a pretty pure way to stack.
right. And that's
Hmm.
pure copper. It's literally heavy duty copper. And also, you can literally take a grounding rod, chop it up measure it to 1 troy ounce, melt it and brick it.
Yeah, true.
Now, obviously, you have to get the rig, torch, the whole works. But
The
I could see my
borax.
electrician buddy doing that. He just recently went and turned in. He's an electrician here in Charleston. He went and turned in a whole like pitcher's mount full of copper that he had, and it
Yeah.
was upwards of like $2,400.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that's on the low side because it had wire and sheathing on it. It wasn't
Yep.
clean. If he would
Mhm.
have cleaned all that, just literally dropped pure copper in there, he would have walked away with 5 Gs.
Yeah.
He does it
Easy.
sometimes. He's got a machine for it.
Yep.
hmm
My electrician does too.
Yep. So there's so many ways in our trade to do that, and that's why I said you guys when you do bathroom renovation, save all that. Save it,
Yeah.
whether it's to recycle it, take it to the dump, whatever, and it's a good way to hedge yourself too. They said, be your money. Keep it on the side. One day you're a little low, take it to the dump, and then they'll pay you for it.
Yeah.
You need gas money? That comes right out of the bathroom renovation.
Comes up to the gas station, just drops a block of copper. I want $60 in gas, and I get the fuck out of here. It's like, all right, and then you got like a $300 brick of copper.
I need to fill my tank.
So much in.
Yeah,
But,
well, if kids need something, I'll tell them go ship all those wires over there. Let me know when you're done.
But you also gotta, I guess me and Jeremiah would have a little bit more experience as far as like diversifying your investments. Stocks, silver, gold, treasury bonds. I gotta start messing with those because if you think about it, right now is a good entry point because interests are so high. Treasury bonds are low. So if you buy them at this interest rate and then the reverse happens, your interest rates are going to go higher. But then again, I don't know, are you locked into that price or maybe? I got to see how that works.
I used to mess with stocks quite a bit, man, back when I was working at the steel shop, man, because I had a 401k and all that. They had a pretty good match on the contributions and all that. So I did get into it because what was big at the time? I think it was before crypto really took off. I think when Robinhood first launched their app, I got into it. messed around with Acorns, all those little apps that like
Oh yeah.
spare change and like invested it for you. At the time, actually, the reason one of the things that really got me, you guys are gonna laugh, but at the time it was when when they were
Feedstock.
pushing heavy for the legalization of hemp at the time, not regular
Oh
marijuana,
yeah.
but there was like a lot of before the CBD bank started and all that shit, man. There was like
Mhm.
all
Hemp was
these
yeah,
all
hemp
these
companies.
what do you call them, ETFs that were hemp and marijuana related and shit like that, man. Then I took it out of all the stocks and I put it into crypto. And at one point I almost had a full Ethereum, man. And then I got scammed on that out of that. So that really discouraged me.
How much was
Oh,
Ethereum?
dude, me and my dad
Right
made
now
out on
Ethereum is probably like
Ethereum.
1,500 or 1,000.
Damn, I had like 3 of them. I sold them all when right before they collapsed.
Yeah,
Oh,
me and my dad sold a lot of our stuff right as Bitcoin hit 20K and tanked. When it hit 20K and tanked, we sold at 18K, and we're kind of glad that we did. And then, because I actually got my dad into mining. For the longest, he wouldn't want to listen to me. I told him to get into mining when Bitcoin was $1,400 a coin, and he wouldn't listen to me. And I was mining on any computer that I had. I mean, if I was done for the day and I was sleeping, my computer was mining. My phones were mining. I was buying what I could. I was going to Bitcoin ATMs. I mean, I was buying as much as I can. And my dad, he had credit cards, so he was able to buy these rigs, which were about $2,000 for an entire rig, which is dirt cheap at the time. And it would pay itself off in 4 months.
wow.
Yeah.
And
No, if you caught that wave in the beginning with the mining and everything, you would have made way so much money. Obviously, with every investment, you have to have an exit strategy, obviously. And sometimes it's pure luck. Sometimes, you get burned.
well, that's
Yeah.
why me and my dad, we
I need a
opted.
refill, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
Word.
opted for, and I'm very biased this way. You have multiple types of mining rigs. You have ASICs, which are application specific integrated circuits. It's a supercomputer that's designed to do one thing and solve one math problem over and over again. Those are the most expensive, but they're the most efficient. Alternatively, you have what's called GPU mining, which use the graphics cards that are in computers because they process games and renderings and everything, and they can crunch numbers. The good thing with graphics card versus the ASICs is, once the new ASIC comes out, you just have a big ass paperweight. The thing's worthless. If you didn't make your money back, you're fucked. Versus graphics cards, I can still sell them to
Graphic
gamers.
card.
And
Right.
then we had this big wave where I used to be able to get 8 graphics cards for less than $1,500, right? They're $200 a pop. That's what they were. And now when crypto went up, you couldn't find one of those graphics cards. If you found it in stock, right, you were paying close to $800 for a card that was originally $200 and sometimes more. So, the people that have, that made their money back, and especially that's if they want to exit and upgrade to the newest graphics card, they can just sell their cards for more than what they paid for.
Oh, by the way, this is the. No, I'm looking at it.
So,
Ta-da!
oh, nice.
What is that?
The Vito OC140. It's a small. I'm gonna put all my electrical stuff. I don't know why I was looking at it.
So,
But now you're reminding me of computers.
yeah. Which little fun fact with crypto, and I don't think I've ever told you guys this. There's a
Ethereum
YouTube
is
channel.
$1,800.
There's a YouTube channel on YouTube called Digital Gold, and it was actually the fastest growing YouTube channel fastest growing crypto channel on YouTube. And it was with Jared Tooley. I believe Tooley is his last name. Really smart guy. And I used to moderate for all of his lives and everything like that. I get on, talk with this dude pretty late at night. And then we eventually moved into, hopping into a group me. And there's a team of us. We were managing the social media. And then on top of that, we kind of got access to, buying cards. Because this guy would buy graphics cards by the pallet, dude. Like he was a distributor.
Holy
He could get it
crap.
by the pallet overseas and have it shipped. And he had a big warehouse that he would host your mining rigs for $1 a day per card. And then, at the time, that was a fairly good deal because your miners were making more than that. and he was able to efficiently supply it with power, supply it with internet, and keep it cool. He had this big warehouse with a garage door, right? He had 2 big bay doors that he turned into a big water cooling setup. And it was just, it was amazing. It was
Man
actually a really
drinking
big
orange juice.
experience in my life. That's a tequila sunrise without the rise.
That is
Oh, yeah, you're holding it wrong.
mango.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did it with the wrist. Got a
That
little-
is mango.
Hold it like this, though, like-
That look like your strong hand.
Here, man. He's
Oh, so another thing too, now that you mention it, 401ks. You guys do realize that through your LLCs you can fund your own, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
I've actually
yeah.
looked into that. And it's
And
deductible.
it's deductible, and it has a higher percentage of how much you can put in. Actually, I'm sorry. Also, Roth IRAs.
Yeah, okay. I was just about to say, does anyone have a
Yeah,
Roth
that's-
IRA? Because I have
Right,
one.
because the
Yeah,
Roth
my
IRAs
brother's
the
been
Roth
telling me about those.
Dude, so the Roth IRAs have a
wait, hold on. That's the
$6,000
one you
limit.
don't. That's the one that's not taxed. That's the one that's taxed later on, right?
No. That's the one.
If
that's
you
taxed
withdraw
upfront.
early, it's tax. If you wait till you're 65 and a half, you can withdraw
If you
everything tax free.
if you withdraw from your principal though, not your investment. I mean, from
Oh,
your
yeah.
investment, not from what you get. So for 457 from what I've gathered so far, it has a $6,000 limit. But if it's through a company now, you can do up to 18,000, which is interesting.
Mm.
But what I said about that is like, so most people see 401ks as a traditional, like, I'm gonna put this egg here, hopefully I can retire. Because if you think about it right now, you see all these things on Instagram too, which are kind of funny. Because they're like, oh, if you put this much money for the next 30 years, by the time you're 65, you'll have $1.5 million. What do you think 1.5 is going to be 30 years from now?
A
Yeah.
hell of a lot more.
Hell yeah.
1.5, it'll be probably what your house would cost at that time. And that's it.
Mm.
Like, you're not going to be able to retire at 1.5 30 years from now.
No.
No way. Not right now. So one guy even explained it. He's like, yeah, you retire with 1 million. He's like, you're looking at it more like $400,000.
I guess it depends on when you plan to retire, because everybody's view on retirement is most people when they retire, it's because they're too old to function and work, and they kind of bite the bullet, they cash in their Social Security, and they pull out all their investments. Versus someone like me, I want to retire early. Everybody wants to retire early.
Right. So, and that's also the idea is like some people get it confused. They're like, oh, I'm going to retire at 55 and sail away on this account. The hell you are. By 56, you'll be back in the supermarket because you've blown through your money.
Yeah.
But what I was saying with that is like I have a 457, 401, and all that stuff. But I use those accounts mainly to fund other projects because I can take loans out on it. You know what I mean? Which are also tax free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why it's good to look into these accounts. Because like, let's say you want to buy a rental property and you've been putting away money in that 457 or 401, you can just take out a loan from the 401. You're paying it back, obviously, to your own personal account.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is through life insurance policies, which you guys got to do with the research as far as which one fits you better. But it's another way of putting money away, let it grow, but you're also borrowing. But now you're not borrowing from your money, you're borrowing from your death benefit.
And big misconception is you don't have to die to cash in on your life insurance. That's why no one says anything. That's why the life insurance companies don't inform you so much on it, because they don't want you to, right? If everybody started pulling their money out early, they wouldn't have money to lend out.
They would crash.
Well, it's solely shared as a dying expense. I
Mhm.
used to do life insurance for a company, and that's literally all it is just preaching about you dying. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing in detail
So
about
you're-
anything else.
Right. So they don't tell you that, like, for instance, you can get a policy, let's say you put the maximum amount, in 5 years, you're able to take out a loan. Your death benefit, let's say, is $500,000. You know what I mean? Let's just say you can take out a loan on that $500,000 already because they want you to do that. Because in the event that you do die, they're like, okay, well, Mr. Carrillo took out $200,000 off his death benefit. We only owe you $300,000.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it benefits them to do that. But also the funny part about that, especially the house universal life insurance, which are the ULIs. They go with the stock market. So when you take the loan out, you're taking the loan out on the death benefit, but but your money's still growing because you're not touching that money. So Donnie should know
Yeah,
that part.
yeah, yeah.
So that still grows. So as long as you pay it back, and the funny thing is, you don't have to pay that money back. That's the catch too. They're like, you take out a loan, you don't want to pay it back, no problem, don't pay it back. But when it comes time for your death benefit to be cashed in, they're like, all right, well, you got to deduct what you did.
Yeah.
So these are ways that you guys should literally be looking into it because that's one thing that a lot of contractors do not do, which is, the money's good up front. We're doing these jobs. Yeah, we're young and healthy, but like we're gonna get old. But what can you do now in your 30s, 40s that maybe in your 50s and 60s can fruit?
So that's another thing too, and I've told people, and there's always the ongoing debate versus going to college versus going into the trades, right? And I think you get the same benefit. You get the same. You can get the same income. It's just a matter of how you want to plan. So you go into the trades, you're working immediately, right? But we all understand that we can't do this labor-intensive work when we're older. Versus, if you go to college, you're putting all the work up front, and you're getting a delayed start. But usually, if you're doing some kind of job that's not labor-intensive, you can do it in the long run. So most of the time it's all about how smart you are with your money. I feel like as a contractor and in the trades, you're making so much money up front. And when it comes to investing, the earlier you start, the better, because everything just compounds on itself. And, I can speak from, younger guys, people that are around my age, because I'm 21. Everybody, they're getting money and they're hustling for the money, but what are they doing? They're buying, they're not buying any assets. It's just
Buying
crap. They
liability.
get a
Not
whole new,
important.
Well,
brand new car. They get, jewelry, the chains that you're talking about, because that's the thing with those diamond chains is you're going to spend a lot of money, but as soon as you swipe that card and you pay for it, it's immediately worth less than what you paid for. There's things
Right,
you almost never get your value for,
and
unless
that's
it's like a famous person.
and that's another Instagram account that I was so heavy into was it's called Earn at Your Leisure.
Earn your leisure. Yeah, they got that
Yeah.
podcast.
So right, so
Be
the
right back.
funny thing is those guys are from the Bronx, and
Mhm.
they were substitute school teachers, and they went into the school and they were like shocked as to see how kids didn't even know what a credit card was. They're like, you guys don't know nothing about money. They're like, no. So all they know is that Jesus Christ. All they know is that about to get lit, boys. Um,
What happened?
so they were just shocked and they were like, you know what, let's teach about money. You know what I mean? And you go to their podcast, and a lot of the stuff that I seen on their podcast, I put into practice. One guy was from Atlanta. And he was working at a cell phone store. He had a wife and 2 kids. He was broke, got laid off, was angry, but he learned something about credit, which is that most people in the in the hood do not have good credits, and you can't get a cell phone, you couldn't get a car. You know what I mean? So he would say, all right, listen, you come to me, I got an 840. You give me $600, you get 30 days as an what do you call that? A authorized user on my
Mhm.
card. In those next 30 days, you're gonna go up 200 points. So he's
My
like, you know how many people you can put on one card?
Yeah.
There is a
my
limit.
dad did that with my older brother, and he was going to do it with me. And it definitely helped my older brother out a lot, because my older
Yeah.
brother, he actually used to live in Bolivia, and he came over here. He didn't have any credit or anything like that. And my dad kind of set him up because he understands how important credit is. And I was going to do the same thing. I mean, I built my credit up pretty good. I could have went a little faster, but I didn't want someone looking over my credit, everything that I purchased, watching me like a hawk. But
Well, I mean, they don't have access, but they don't have access to your credit.
oh, that's not how my
You know what
dad
I
did
mean?
it. He saw all
No,
the statements.
no. So
If I'm put in that situation, I'll start ordering
well,
weird
no,
shit just so we can
no.
see it on the statement.
So the way he did it, he actually gave him a card to use.
Hmm.
Right. So no, the way I did it and the way you can do it is you just add them to yours as long as you continue using the card.
Oh, okay.
So I had at the time my personal card that was being used for business. which you can do that. You can have a personal credit card strictly for business as long as it's separated to the business.
Mm.
But that used to have a steady revenue of $2,000 to $3,000 a month getting paid off. So that's how it would bump up your numbers. My dad would never get a card. The card would come to me, and I keep it at home. So after 30, 40 days, I just take them off. I called him. I was like, "Yo, how's your score?" He's like, "Yeah, 250." I was like, "Perfect." It only took 30 days. So I was like, "Yo, this is easy." So he went out and got a crap ton of credit cards, 20 credit cards. He's like, "Yo, I can get anywhere from 10 to 15 people per credit card. Each one of them paying me $300 to $600. Do the numbers on that. It's
Yeah.
millions of dollars in
Yeah.
revenue. Dude became a multi-millionaire just on that.
That's
But
wild.
he's also
And-
his mentality is different.
Yeah, there's a good amount of guys on YouTube that
Right.
I've seen that do that.
So go ahead.
So, and to speak on this credit thing, and this is slightly veering off topic, but something that I learned early on, and it was kind of eye opening for me, is the fact that how I guess we could say the working class, because we are the working class, utilizes credit is completely different from people that are in the top percentages of our class. They don't use it for just regular expenses like we do. They use credit to make money. They're pulling out loans to make investments, and it's just compounding. And essentially, they're always owing money, but it all balances out. It's everything's a tax deduction. It's this cycle, and it's just it's strategic, man, and it's really impressive.
What's wild with that is because I've gone down some rabbit holes with that. So the way it works is it's a simple step. So if you want to buy a nice car, right?
Mm.
You go and buy a property that will pay that car bill. You know what I mean? So that's one way of doing it because now you're getting tax-free money that's coming into you as income from a property that's going to obviously get deductions because of that.
Mhm.
That's one way to do it. The other way to do it, like you said, is buy these properties, right? I buy $100,000 house, put $50,000 on it. House is worth 350. I take 100 grand out. That's tax-free money. I don't have to claim it. I don't have to do anything because it's a loan.
It's a loan, and then also if you sell a property and you have a certain time frame, and you have to fill out the paperwork.
1039.
You can buy another property completely tax free. They won't tax you on capital gains, which is like 30%, and I think it's more now actually.
No, it's
Cap-
39, I believe.
Yeah, so
39 under 10 years, I think it is,
yeah,
or something like that, and it's 11% after that.
well, even then, that's pretty bad. But if you're able to withdraw your money from an investment, like for example, my weekend job, and I've talked about this too. I want to get into commercial real estate. I want to start in residential, and then eventually take all that money and just do exactly that. Sell everything or sell a certain portion of those properties and move it into commercial, and I don't have to pay capital gains on any of that. So that's
Yeah, no.
Or what type of commercial properties are there?
Well, that's the thing is I've got to do a little more research on it. The biggest thing with commercial properties is that it's not regulated as much as residential. And also too, the tenants are responsible for maintenance. They're responsible for, if there's any modifications, repairs, renovations, all that stuff, the tenant is responsible for. Versus if you go 3 days and the tenant doesn't have a water heater, they're going to sue your ass. Like that's on the residential side. I mean, there's so much liability from a residential standpoint as a landlord.
Yeah, in the commercial world, when I was talking to a couple investors, they're like, you need to really get your feet wet as far as residential work to understand the groundwork before you even enter. He's like, because once you enter commercial work, dude, it works completely different. You're not going to be ready to hear these numbers. You know what I mean? He's like 100 grand. Yeah, that's usually what I pay in maintenance. Like that's not going to be nowhere near what you're going to look. You're talking millions, like Grant Cardone and all those guys. They're talking in millions. Oh yeah, I put 53 million in this building. I got 153 back. Those are crazy numbers. But like you said, it's totally different. So you can buy a shopping center. You ever seen a shopping center? Another one that a lot of people don't talk about, and it's like a kind of like a sleeper, is parking garages. You never see them for sale. Steady income, ridiculously low maintenance down to just cleaning.
Mm.
And maybe some lights here and there, but consistently getting money, getting paid. Every time you go, there's $2 to park, $2 to park. You know what I mean? Those are
They're always.
like you said.
I mean, I
Yeah,
guess you'd have to. You say you never find them, you never see them for sale, but I mean, they're usually in prime locations, and if you got to wait for another area to be getting established in order to build a new one because all the ones are already owned.
right.
So,
Who do you think gets the first dip at that? All
developers,
the,
the big
nah,
pockets.
it's all the commercial guys. Like he said, commercial real estate people are the first ones they call before they even mention to anybody else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, it's because it's a tight circle. It's not about it's about who you know.
Yeah,
Someone's
right.
going to
Like
sell
how
to
good
someone
does
that
it
they
click?
know before they sell. Because think about it, you're gonna if you sell something, even if you sell something as simple as like a fucking car on Facebook Marketplace, something like that, for example. What's the first thing? What's the first couple messages you're gonna get? It's gonna be people trying to haggle you. They're gonna try to talk you down. Versus if you know someone personally, right, and you go, hey, I got this price. And even then, you might go, oh, I'll give you a bit of a discount. You buy it now, right? No hassle. You can trust that the person is going to go through. You're going to trust the person that's going to pay. And if the person's an investor and a friend like they are, they're not going to try to,
Nope.
lowball you so much. So,
And
I
they're going to
mean,
be quicker about it. Yeah, they're going to be like, "Oh, got this garage. Yeah, no problem. How much? 10? Perfect. I'll give you 9 right
yeah,
now. How's that? Done.
Mm.
There's no
I'll
negotiation.
trade you. Yeah, that's another thing too. I'll trade you.
Yeah, so it's that's how the big boys play. And I mean, like like those 10x whatever conventions and all that stuff. They're
Yeah.
cool to go to because you get to talk to these people and you want to be in that circle, but at the same token, there is a rite of passage that you got to get there. I feel. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like when you're a helper, you show up to a job site and right away you want to start running the company. Like, no, you got to earn your stripes. You got to get your feet wet. Otherwise, when you get in there, let's say they do bring you into this room, you got to know the etiquette. You got to know everything about it. Like you said, you're not gonna go haggle somebody that's trying to give you a good deal, because
Yeah.
then the person turn around and be like, "What are you doing, dude? That's a solid deal. That
Yeah.
shouldn't even be discussed. It should be a handshake and give them a bottle of brandy." Like,
Because a real investor from that standpoint thinks long term. It's
yeah,
like
oh
this
yeah,
is going to pay itself off in the long term. The more you pay, the more you deduct. I mean, in reality, you can haggle someone and get a steal on it, but
mm,
it's all going to end up leveling out. So it's
yeah.
just
And that's
yeah.
right now, especially in I think it's California, is having that issue where they instituted the mansion tax. So
Mm.
anybody that has a mansion is going to pay an additional 5% tax.
Ooh.
Okay, exactly. 5% tax on 50 million. That is a lot of money.
Yeah,
At
let's do
least
let's
right
do some
now.
math on that.
Oh God, dude. Right
Wonder
now
what they
there's a
what they use to qualify something as being
You said
considered a
5%
mansion,
on
though.
50 million. That wouldn't be. What's that? 2.5 mil.
well,
So,
he's doing the numbers.
yeah, 2.5 mil. Damn, Harry.
Right.
Okay, I see you.
That's what you got to pay in taxes
That's
alone on
crazy.
top of your regular taxes.
Yeah.
That's on top. That's not included. That's like in New York, you got 8%, and then they're gonna put an additional 5. So technically, you're doing what's that, 13? 13% tax on your property alone to sit there. So right now they are scrambling to sell these houses at a ridiculously price because they don't want to pay the tax.
Crazy.
It's crazy. So and then that's the other thing too. Once you're rich, once you get into the big ballers, those guys, I mean, cost aggregation, tax planning, having three, four, five, having an accounting firm handling your money. It's
Mhm.
not, it's like, it's common for them to have an entire office of people combing through your money, and they'll call you and say, hey, like, who was it? Grant Cardone. He's like, yeah, listen, you're gonna owe the government X amount of dollars. He's like, well, how much time do I have? He's like, well, you got till December. No problem. Calls
Buy a
the
jet.
airline. Hey, I
Yeah.
need a private jet.
I saw that. Yeah, where he just bought a jet. He actually
What?
overpaid for it too. He's like, I need it
Exactly.
now. I'll pay for it right now. And that
So
motherfucker just bought a jet.
he did the most baller move, which you can also apply to your personal life too, which was like he called his accountant, send them the money.
Yeah.
One thing is like me going up to you, say, hey Harry, can you please build this house for me? Versus me sending you a check, signed and dated. Say, yo, can you build me a house? Which one do you think is gonna get you to do that, Joy?
Mm-hmm.
The check
You
first.
tell him.
Let me hit the bank real quick, and I got you.
So say, so like when that move was a baller because the airline had no airplanes. They're like, yo, we can't get you an airplane by December. But when they saw the money, he's like, man, I had never seen somebody do this before. He's like, but I got your airplane.
I guess to kind of compare that is if if you're gonna try to buy something from someone, you're gonna make an offer, right? If you say, hey, I can go ahead and write you a check, or I can transfer you the money, versus if you're like, I got $5,000 cash right here in front of you, right? Cash speaks. If you've got a signed check in front of you, he's pretty much just like, if you want to cash it, it's yours. If you don't, it's your fucking loss. I mean, he was pretty much handing him a signed check. I mean, the money is right there.
He
Yeah.
wired the money.
Oh, he wired them. Oh,
yeah,
damn.
no,
It's there. It's not.
Yeah.
Like it's already in your bank. You open the account.
Now it's a situation.
Right. So, but that can also be applied in many ways. Like I said, one is to urgency. If you have urgency, cash is king.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You're trying to get through a line. Yeah, you're gonna pay somebody $20, but it's gonna get you to the front. So basically, that's what he did. He said, "Here's the money I needed right now." So there is no like, "Oh well, Mister, we need this. We're gonna do this. It's gonna cost you that." We already bypassed all of that. We're at the point of like, when can I pick it up?
No, I can tell you
You know
some
what I mean?
stories about cash in Bolivia. I can tell you some stories.
Dude, South America too, man. Ecuador, cash is king, dude. You can move mountains, literally.
Dude, a 6-month process got turned into like a month and a half
Minute.
process with some cash and some food. That's all I'm saying.
Faster than that, dude. When I was getting my passport to come over here,
That's exactly what this is about.
it's gonna take some time to verify the process, and we gotta make sure that you have the right properties. My aunt did one of these. He's like, oh, I see that you guys are reserved already. Oh, okay, no problem. Done.
At a family member, how they got their passport was off of it got expedited with cash and lunch. And from experience, Omar, that the U.S. dollar, when you're paying from U.S. dollars and it gets transformed down like in Bolivia to Bolivianos, I mean, it's not like, where like the difference, like it's 7 Bolivianos per US dollar. It's not like that's the exact translation. 7 Bolivianos is not valued as a dollar. So it's just like, yeah, send it. Buy them lunch, buy them fucking beer, buy them hookers, whatever they want. Subcontractors. My bad, subcontractors. But contract labor.
So that was the thing with that. Like when you I was telling you that the dinner that I went down there. Jesus Christ! I just realized this. It's been 10 years since I've been down there. But the last time I went down there, I took my family out to dinner. I said, "Hey guys, let's go eat. Come on, I'll take you to my favorite restaurant, which is literally a farmhouse and a table right next to it. They kill it, and it's right to you.
I want
That's
that
how
one."
fresh it is. You go there and you order by the pound. You're like, "Yo, can I get 10 pounds of meat?" And they give you with every dressing that you could possibly think of. Soup, rice, salads, everything comes with that pounds. So we all ate. I'm drinking, local beer because I don't want to get robbed. And you drink a Corona, you get robbed. That's a fact. Same thing in Bolivia. They see you not drinking the local beer, you're drinking American stuff. They know you're American. Drink the local stuff. But and the bill comes out, and then I'm like, all right, cool, the bill's here, and my aunt's like grabs it. I'm like, what are you doing? I took you guys out. She's like, nah, it's a lot. I'm gonna help you out. I look at the bill, it's $65. I'm like, man, this is my beer tab back in New York. I was like, give me that. What are you doing? So I left $100. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, tip. She's like, that's her freaking weekly paycheck. I'm like, okay, so she's happy.
What about it? No.
She's like, no, you can't do that. Because then she reminded, she's like, yo, if you do that, maybe she's connected with dudes, and she'd be like, yo, he just left me a $30 tip. Robbed at the parking lot. So listen, it's a third world country. People are hungry. They steal for the right reasons, at least.
Yeah,
it'd
be like that. I remember we went down to the market. My dad's like, you got anything shiny? You got anything gold? Smartwatches, phones, it all stays at home. Don't take your wallet, take the cash you're planning to spend. That's what it was. That was the process. We got the whole rundown. It was like, all right. I'm like, we're getting shakedown in our own family's house.
Wear local clothes. Don't be rolling in there like you got something, bro. You get jacked up quick.
I'm only talking about you can buy Gucci at the market for like $2 US.
Yeah, bro. You go down there with the Levi's, you go down there with like Pumas, that's gold.
Yeah.
They like that, the European stuff. They're like Gucci, that is Gucci. Here, I'll give you a purse. I don't care.
The Pumas.
I got me some Jordans down there. He was a little fat, but it was still Jordans. Got some
Oh, yeah,
Pumas. The Panther was limping, but it was still Pumas.
you got the Cordons instead of the Jordans.
Yep.
But yeah, no, dude, like
Facts.
that's the thing with currency exchange too. You know what I mean? But yeah, back to like the 401, definitely get into that. And like I said, diversify, you guys sell so that at least, at the end of this, you guys got something. You know what I mean? Whether it's through doing this, having a W-2 and doing it through that route too, because people, especially right now, you see in Instagram, oh, you need to quit, you need to be your independent boss, you need to do this, but like there's a small group of dudes that like, you can have a W-2 and still do the other one, right?
Mhm.
Like you could do it both. He's like, what I would do is get a W-2, and that would be the funding for your business. You know what I'm saying? Pay your bills and also fund your business. And that's another way to do it. So a lot of people shame, oh, you should be fully free, la 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 la. Man, don't listen to that stuff. You gotta do what works best for you, you know what I mean? So 401ks, that's another way. Look into life insurance policies, wherever you can put your money. Because obviously right now the banks are not safe. And that's another thing that Jeremiah and I are used to from Bolivia and Ecuador. You don't put your money in the bank.
Uh, I think I told you about this. My aunt, she's planning to move over to the States because it's getting kind of heated in Bolivia. So she sold her car, all their cars, all their different assets. They're selling the house, and um, and then she put it all in the bank, right? So she can, she can transfer to USD and take it out. Well, the bank's not. There's a line like down the road, and they're not letting her withdraw, but so much, per day, per week. There's a cap on it, and my aunt's like, I have all of my money here. Like, and I'm not going to say how much she has, but I mean, it's a pretty significant amount. I mean, it's enough to buy a house in our area. More than enough to buy a house. And it's it's kind of unfortunate because she's like, I have money, but I don't have access to it. She's like, I am fucking. Basically, she's like, I'm rich and broke at the same time. Like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, no,
So
it's common. It's common for those. So like that's why everybody here's like, oh my God, banks are crashing. Like, dude, that's a common occurrence down there.
mhm,
Put your money, and all of a sudden the company's like, okay, we made enough. Now we can move to uh Switzerland or a country they can't chase us, and then they take the money.
mhm,
Like the president of Ecuador did that. He literally is currently living in Switzerland because he cannot leave because now there's a warrant for his arrest for what he did. He took all the money and left. Actually, he was paid by the FARC because after the FARC closed the deal with Colombia, remember the war between them? They were like,
mhm.
okay, put your guns down. They're like, all right, so put your guns down and stop doing coke.
Gotcha, bitch. No, I'm kidding.
You know what I mean? They were like, put your money, stop doing coke. And they're like, well, that's like the biggest industry for them. So they went to Ecuador president. They're like, yo, we're gonna give you this much. You let us hop over the Amazon border. We're gonna do it there, but still sell it in Colombia. And he was like, cool. Signed it off, got all kinds of money, and then they got caught up, and then he left the country. Jeez.
Well,
Gosh.
Good Lord.
But yeah, no, definitely that. And back to the money thing, careful how you do your contracts nowadays because this is where people are gonna try to scam you.
Mhm.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
these
They're gonna
times?
try to scam you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. This is the time where they got no money, but they still want the work done.
You got to be real careful screening customers nowadays.
Mm-hmm. You gotta be real
Everything's on
careful.
paper. I don't care if it's a $20 change
Everything.
order. It's on paper and it's signed.
Everything. And then don't be afraid to walk away or stop at work if something's not right or let's say you had a draw coming up and they're like, I need an extra week. Like, all right, cool. You can you be your own judge at that. But like, you start to get vibes and you're like, all right, well, you know what? If they tell you, me personally, they go, oh, you got to wait a week for the checks. All right, no problem. So I'll be back next week to continue to work.
If it's
I'll go do something
reoccurring,
else.
that's where I have issues. That's when I'll pause
Right.
work for the time frame because I do my
I wouldn't
payments
even-
in stages.
No, I mean, if I gave you a stage and like I told you, okay, 50 up front, let's say a quarter, 3/4 of the way. So me tiling your shower and grouting, that's pretty much 3/4 of the way.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I say, oh, it's time for the paycheck. Like, oh, well, this and that. Like, that's not gonna fly. So let's just pause. Let me know when you can get that check, and then I'll continue. Otherwise, it can stay right where it is, because otherwise you're not gonna pay me. They don't want you. You finish and they're like, oh, I don't think I like what you did, or it wasn't to my standards, and I'll report you to all your local sites and give you bad rep. They'll try to use all of that against you.
But
Okay.
only once you finished. They
Only
won't
once you
complain in the
finish, exactly.
process. Only
Oh,
complain when they got to pay you.
no, that's exactly. As soon as it comes to pay, oh, well, I really didn't like this. Okay, well, why didn't you tell me during the build? I did tell you, but I'm not really happy. And at the end of the day, and that's like the customer's right mentality, which to an extent they are, to an extent, but there's also accountability too. Like, if you didn't like the work, you could have stopped me. You could have just said, hey, or like if you are, if you didn't like the quote, you shouldn't have accepted it. Stuff like that. So just be mindful of that so you don't get bitten. But who's gonna be the one to do it? Who's gonna do the honors? Donnie's been silent, bro. Speak up, son.
Yeah, this is muted.
No, there's
So-
Straight
other-
madhouse over there.
yeah.
Oh,
So
boy,
I'm just tuning in to what y'all saying.
that's the
But
missus.
we are an hour in, so I guess we'll start to wrap it up for the night. It's a good talk, I guess. Just big talk on investment and future, and
Yeah.
mainly financial security and financial future stuff.
Yeah,
Seems to
good
be.
talk. Definitely. I mean,
So-
Omar did most of it, but thank you for the information.
Yeah.
It's a lot,
we
dude.
will,
Doing some silver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good way to do it.
I would
But
just start finding
who's
these.
gonna announce it? Who's
old
gonna
mo-
do the
Okay.
honors?
So
Go ahead.
we're gonna cut it, and then we can edit this and stitch it in later. That's what I was gonna do. So we can isolate the stuff because it's kind of like off topic, but I'll be able to edit that in. So I mean, so we're gonna do who wants to do the announcement?
Well,
Oh,
guys,
I'm not prepared for that.
just
I
the
guess-
same one as last
I'm
time.
not
Yeah.
emotionally
first of all, I guess-
prepared.
I guess first of all, we should thank Dave and Chase
Absolutely.
for the giveaway from last time. That we are all four of us, I could say, are pretty grateful for this. We're happy to be able to provide that for someone. They're good products that we stand behind, and it's good value for what you get and good quality.
Absolutely. And congrats to the Tile Dad for winning that
Yes.
Yeah.
that draw. Because out of everybody, we don't know who's they're gonna go to. At least we know this guy, and we could talk to him, and he can actually give us his perspective of like, okay, we can tell you it's a great system, but obviously he already uses the shower concept. I mean, flow effects, drains and stuff, so
Mhm.
he already knows.
Yeah,
But
he'd
to
be able
hear
to
from
provide
him-
some good feedback.
Right, exactly. To be like, oh, so how was the pan? Was it what you expected? Was the
Mhm.
customer service up to par? Because that's huge. So Shower
Mhm.
Concept is good at that. They will talk to you. Dave himself talked to me during my build. He didn't have to, but he did
Yeah.
to help correct the issue. But yeah. But with that being said, since we did so successfully on that one, they were
It was
kind
the
of
first.
It was the first. It was very successful, but they were kind enough to offer us an additional 1 month drawing for winnings. So we're going to be able to do this one every month for the rest of the year, in whichever fashion we choose.
11 more giveaways for y'all to
Mhm.
go ahead and sign up for. Get your entries in. Well,
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be 10 more giveaways. Sponsored by Shower Concepts and Flow Effects. Which is Dave and Chase.
Chase.
hopefully.
Yeah.
Which caught us by surprise. I mean, we thought it was
Right,
just a one and
right.
done, right? And
Yeah,
we got that
Which is what
news,
we
and It's
I
kind
think all of our
of
jaws dropped. Like, wait, what?
yeah. I mean, what's it's kind of awesome, but it's also the sucky part is it's like, well, man, I can't even participate in my own giveaway. You know,
Yeah, I know.
morally you
Yeah.
shouldn't, but I'm like, that's a good deal. I mean, you're getting a fair amount of a product there, a good product for that matter, and customer service
And that was the other
for
thing too
free.
that right. The other thing too that I kind of misinterpreted too is the shower pan is up to a certain size, but you can order
Oh,
it any way you want. So, you know
Mm,
what I mean? Maybe you want to use your own drain and you have like a linear drain. I'm sure they'll cut it for you in the linear drain and you can keep the flow effects on the side. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean? It
yeah.
doesn't have to be like that. So I can see that being the case because he was like, yeah, just put in the order form. Because he told me up to 60 inches and up to 36, I believe,
yeah,
something,
Wow.
or
it's kind of
32.
standard.
You
Wow.
know, that's your standard shower, but he was like,
Yeah.
that's the max. So if you have a 28, you have a 22, whatever the case may be, he'll cut it to that. So it's not like you're stuck with like a
A
product that you hope you
standard.
can
Yeah, yeah,
get.
yeah.
Right.
At
You
least,
know,
Wow.
yeah.
so
Well, yeah. I mean, that's great. That's great because I mean, most people would probably think like, oh man, when am I going to get a chance to use it? You know, if I don't have any,
right.
the right bathroom lined up. But if that's the case,
Yeah.
then that means you can, if you win it,
Yeah.
you can actually schedule one of your upcoming bathrooms with that. So
Yeah.
Exactly.